SportsCenter.
Halo Holt's hanging by a thread after a 6-run Yankee turnaround. The Angels' bats come alive, but the bullpen threatens to give it all back. Minnesota Miracles helped the Vikings stay perfect. Our expert on the confusing strategy for a Steelers win. From throwing away wins to winless wonders and beyond, our insider on the team facing more pressure to win. Plus, only in Hollywood, details on a shakeup atop the Dodgers food chain and LeBron's new dunking desire. Hint, he used to live in the White House. For sticking around for SportsCenter. That is Scott Van Pelt, and I am Linda Cohn. We go from one game that ended in a nail-biter to another one.
Good night to have the remote going back and forth between the comeback from Florida State and Chapel Hill, the game you just watched, and the American League Championship Series. The Angels' big lead, they blow it, then they come back, and I could tell you all about it, but why don't we send it to Karl Ravech and the boys of baseball tonight? They've got a better handle on things than we do. Karl?
Well, we can at least show it to you, that's for sure. Welcome, and thanks, Scott, very much. And Linda, Chris Singleton, and John Kruk are here. This was a seesaw game that had incredible manager decisions, and some, of course, like every manager decision in the postseason, will be looked at with 20/20 glasses on, and you'll ask, why did things happen? Let's get to it. The Angels had to win this game, otherwise there would be no Game 6 back in New York. The Angels have been awful with men in scoring position, and the Yankees have been bad. A 138 average for the Angels, a .157 for the Yankees, but the Angels in the first inning jumped all over Burnett. Usually the big inning for Burnett's like the 5th.
They weren't letting him get strike one, and that's a big thing. That's a breaking ball to Torrey Hunter. Here's a first pitch fastball right here to Vladimir Guerrero. If you're going to throw a pitch just to get a strike on us and then try to work us out of the zone, we're going to swing at that first pitch and get a hit. And that's what they did in this first inning.
You talked about being aggressive. They were, every fastball that came in, they dumped into the outfield. That's Morales. Guerrero's in to score. Morales had a big hit here. He had a huge hit later in the game as the first 5 Angels to bat all reached base.
Well, velocity around 93, but we saw it side to side. There wasn't any sinking late action through the strike zone, and those hitters were just teeing off for the Angels.
Lackey has A-Rod's number, no doubt about it. About a .176 average and 51 at-bats. There he goes down. Let's go to the 5th inning now, and Jose Molina back, Posada pinch hitting. Molina always catches when Burnett starts, and boy, that didn't work. Lackey gets Posada looking, 2 men down. The next batter is Jeter, and Lackey gets him swinging and chasing, so the Yankees can't get anything going.
John Lackey had that unbelievable breaking ball going in this game tonight in Game 5 right there.
With Posada up and a man on. Goal! Lackey wanted that one. The pitch tracker that they used for Fox showed it was a strike. Field and Colbert wanted to hear none of Lackey's antics. Jeter then gets walked. He clearly seemed affected by this. And then with Teixeira at the plate, watch Lackey look at Soch and says, come on, Soch, this is mine. This is mine. Mike Soch is not having any of it. Lackey walks off. Lord knows what happened once he went inside that clubhouse.
There's been some anger.
It's Darren Oliver. And Mark Teixeira gaps him.
Mark Teixeira has been having absolute struggles in this postseason so far, but when you watch his bats against Scott Kazmir, the other day against the Angels, he had good at-bats. He didn't get any hits, but he fouled balls off. Look at, he was on balls left hand, and then he brought in Darren Oliver, and that didn't work so well, did it?
Did not. Matsui a hit. The Yankees are all of a sudden back at 4-4, and another shot by a left-hander, this time Cohn. So Matsui's trying to score. Matsui's trying to score? Matsui does score.
Well, he was chugging around the bases, and when you looked at this ballgame, the Angels coming in and knew they had to score early. They scored early, but they didn't score often. Shut down after the first inning, scoring those 4 runs, and they breathed some life into the Yankees' offense.
Yeah, you saw Burnett on the bench, but Burnett started the 7th inning. He started the 7th inning.
It's a long wait to have a guy that's thrown that many pitches to come back out.
Marte gave up that one to Abreu at 6-5. Guerrero then comes through up the middle, and the 6-4 lead is gone just like that. 6-6. Hughes couldn't do it. Marte couldn't do it. And the next batter, Henry Morales. He did it in the first. He does it here. Torrey Hunter's in to score. A.J. Burnett, who walked the leadoff guy in the 7th, is now on the dugout bench, shaking his head as the Angels are back on top. Not a lot of faith in the bullpen by Joe Girardi at all. Now Weaver comes on in the 8th and looks great.
And apparently not by Mike Socha when he brings his starting pitcher in.
They had to win this thing. They had to win it. Rivera comes in the bottom of the 8th and gets the job done, so it stays 1 run, and the Yankees have their hitters coming up. And they get the middle of the lineup, and Teixeira pops out.
He's just pulling off balls. He's not staying on anything and driving it the other way. They're throwing it away, and he's still trying to pull.
You're walking the go-ahead run to the plate when you intentionally walk A-Rod.
Well, they remember the last couple of bats A-Rod has had against Fuentes. You figure instead of him tying it up, we'll put him on, see if we can get out of this thing.
Yeah, but now that guy you just intentionally walked is only 90 feet away. But Nick Swisher, Teixeira broke out tonight. Swisher was 0 for 5. Wow, is he struggling in the LCS? Hit the .118 is Nick Swisher. So the unconventional move to walk A-Rod and bring the go-ahead run to the plate, it pays off, and this series goes back to New York for a Game 6. Hunter has a good night, 2 for 2 in the game. Guerrero comes through. Mathis looks like a batting champ.
He's swinging it.
He's going to find himself in the middle of that lineup before this series is over.
Nail-biting time for everybody. First the Yankees, and then they chewed him down to the fingertips with Brian Fuentes, but he got the job done after the game. He's with Tim Kirkshin.
Brian, bases loaded, 3-2 pitch, 2 outs in the 9th inning, the season on the line. What is going through your head as you're pitching to Nick Swisher?
I'm thinking I got to throw a strike here. I got to make him put the ball in play. You know, and it's funny, for like a split second, I was thinking, my mom always yells at me for making these close games, and I can only imagine what she was doing at that time. So, sorry, Mom.
Brian, what does this tell you about this team to come back and win this game after what the Yankees did in the 7th inning tonight?
Yeah, it was huge, man. I was so proud of our guys showing heart like that, coming back. You know, the momentum shifted so hard in their direction, and you know, the crowd kind of fell out of it. It went silent around here, and sure enough, we come back with a base hit, and things start coming our way, and we ended up coming all the way back, so that was awesome.
Brian, you've been around for a long time. How would you describe this game, and have you played in anything quite like something like this?
Man, I said that playing game in Colorado was pretty close to this, but you know, my heart is beating so fast out there that, you know, at that time, probably not.
Thank you, Brian. Back to you.
Yeah, you can start to cue the music from the movie Jaws, because all of a sudden you're going to start to be hearing about the 0-4 comeback against this Yankees that the Red Sox had when they were in a 3-0 hole. This is a 3-1 hole, which is now 3-2. Couple of questions for Joe Girardi after the game. The first involved his starting pitcher, Mr. Burnett.
Did you consider replacing Burnett there after you took the lead?
We talked about it, but he was throwing the ball so well. He put up 5 shutout innings. He'd only thrown 80 pitches, and we just liked what we saw from him, and we stuck with him.
Susan? Joe, what kind of the emotions of that particular game, how do you describe
There's a lot of them, I can tell you that, even up until the last out. You know, I like to fight in our guys and come back and get 6 in the 7th and then go down and then have a chance to win it in the 9th. A lot of emotions. But we got another game on Saturday.
Who else? Joel, right over here.
Joe, just to revisit what Tyler said, is did the long half inning that Burnett is on the bench there weigh into your decision at all?
Yeah, it does. It does.
And off days on both sides of this that you could use.
Yeah, it does. But A.J. was throwing great. You know, if he's around 105 pitches, it's probably a different story. But because his pitch count was low and he felt great, we stuck with him.
Mark?
Joe, you guys had talked about coming into this game, the opportunity to close it out. Does it feel like a missed opportunity to you guys right now?
Yeah. Anytime you have a chance to close out a series and you don't win, no matter what the score is, it's a missed opportunity. But we get a chance to go to our ballpark where we've played extremely well. You know, we've had a lot of come-from-behind wins there. So, yeah, it's a missed opportunity, but we still have another game on Saturday.
Couple more? Sweeney and then Andrew?
Joe, how concerned are you with Hughes now?
Yeah. You know, he's still making pitches. He got to the counts that he wanted to and wasn't able to put Vlad Guerrero away. He missed his spot. He's been doing it for us all year. And, you know, we believe that he's going to get it done. This is the time of year that everything gets a little bit tougher, but we like his stuff, and we believe he'll get it done.
Andrew?
It's amazing. I mean, this was a strength coming in. It's just ironic. You watch the Phillies the last couple nights, and all of a sudden the bullpen looks strong. And here you have Burnett come out. Clearly, people are pointing to this. Hey, he had a long layoff there. You're bringing him back out. You don't see Phil Coke. You bring Marte in. Chamberlain and Hughes don't look nearly as confident as did. This has to get fixed.
I firmly believe that the reason why he brought A.J. Burnett out for that 7th inning is because he doesn't have confidence right now, Phil Hughes or Jabba Chamberlain. You know, you look at Jabba when he came in the game, he gives up a couple hits, and, you know, then it's like throw over till we can get Mariano ready.
Yeah.
You know, 2 years ago when he was pitching in relief again, you know, in the playoffs, or 3 years ago, they never thought of bringing in anyone else. It was Jabba's and Jabba's games. And the same goes for Phil Hughes. They bring him in the game. They have people in the bullpen warming up. If these are your shutdown guys, you don't have guys that readily warmed up in the bullpen waiting for them to fail. And that's exactly what happened tonight. They failed Joe Girardi, and I think that's why A.J. Burnett went out for that 7th inning, because he had more confidence in a tired A.J. Burnett than he did in those fresh 2 guys. Interesting decisions. What do you make, because I'm sure a lot of people are going to wonder about Mike Scioscia and the decisions he made, and in particular, walking Alex Rodriguez to bring that go-ahead run to the plate when you know Rivera is still coming out again?
Well, he's rolling the dice definitely right there, because you never want to bring the go-ahead run to the plate. But considering the success that Alex Rodriguez has had against everybody this postseason, but especially Brian Fuentes, the home run hit earlier on, knowing that, hey, this guy could very well hit the ball out of the park. And you don't even want to mess around with him with that non-intentional, intentional walk, because if he accidentally throws one in the hitting zone, then Rodriguez could deposit it and tie up the ball game. But you talk about some of the decisions. You talk about John Lackey being pulled out after facing Johnny Damon with the bases loaded, getting him out. It looked like he found sort of a second wind and was focused in on getting the next batter. But as Crucky talked about, you bring in the lefty, and Teixeira's been taking some good swings against lefties, and then they blow it open right there. So the team bailed him out in the bottom of the 7th inning, scoring 3 more runs. But it would have been hanging on Mike Scioscia had they not come back. And
with that, let's listen to the Angel manager, who is now live taking questions.
If they've got some action in front of us, you got first and second, or a runner at first, we probably would not have. But in that situation, you just want to keep Alex in the park. You know, obviously it got a little too congested at the end of the game, but you know, we just felt it was better to take our chances with some of the lefties following him.
And can I just ask you just the way the team came back? We've talked about the resiliency of the team, and a lot of great teams have resiliency. The Yankees have come back. Can you just talk about, you were 9 outs away from elimination, and the way this team came back?
Well, they, you know, they hit pretty quick in that, yeah, that inning to get the 6 runs, and you know, we bounced back and answered with 3, and you know, I think in the dugout, guys in between innings were, you know, still pumped up. They knew we get a guy on, we got the tying run at the plate, and just some real good hitting with guys in scoring position, some key hits from Vlad and Kendry, and you know, we obviously were able to get the lead and hold on.
Michael?
Mike, Lackey was so good over the first 6. Did you see him losing it quickly in the 7th?
A couple things. You know, I don't know if it was as much of John losing it. Maybe, you know, he still looked like he maybe had a little bit left in him. And in making that move, I just, with my heart, said, hey, leave John in. My head said, let's try to turn Tex around and get out of that inning right there. And I think I just have a lot of confidence in John. He might have had enough to get in there and get Tex out, but I thought to turn him around at that point was the move, and you know, obviously it didn't work.
Over here.
With how he's hit, you know, over the last few games, could you afford to not have Mathis in the lineup on Saturday?
We'll look at a couple things. Let's, you know, we're going to absorb this one, and you know, we'll talk as a staff and see where we're going to go. But you know, Jeff's playing some terrific baseball, that's for sure.
So the first question he was asked, obviously, was how he walked A-Rod, and he said this was the decision he made to keep him in the park, and he barely kept him on base, but he did. And then the question about Lackey was interesting, too. And now you look ahead to Game 6, and the implications of Game 6 become enormous because of what would happen if the Angels win, meaning Sabathia would then go in Game 7, and with Game 1 scheduled for Wednesday, he wouldn't be able to go in Game 1 and would have to pitch in Game 2 on short rests. Other than that fact, and the rain that is clearly a forecast for New York, if you didn't see what happened in Chicago tonight with the soccer game over on ESPN, it was pouring. That's going to New York. There's a chance it could be affected by rain, though they said the same thing last weekend. But Game 6, what are your thoughts going into that?
Well, I think people have to realize that Joe Saunders won 16 games for this team, and with Jared Weaver, they were the two winningest pitchers in this rotation. You know, and that goes for Irving Santana and John Lackey to boot. So it's not like they're throwing a slouch out there. He pitched pretty good in Game 2 against the Yankees. You know, I can honestly see this thing going to a 7th game. I really can. I think Joe Saunders is up for the challenge.
Really, even back at Yankee
Stadium? I do. I think, the fight that I saw in the Angels team tonight, you're not going to convince me any other way, and I know you're trying to, but you're not going to. I believe this is going to go 7 games.
We also see, though, with the Yankees being down 4-0, no, they're playing on the road in a stadium that's got a whole lot of energy, and they come back and score 6 runs to climb back in the ballgame. Now, I know we talked about how the bullpen looked a little shaky, and you have some young guys in the back end of that bullpen before you get to Mariano. You've got Jabba, who's been a transient basically this season in the rotation, back into the bullpen. We expect him to be the way that he was a couple of years ago, but that's just not going to come automatically. He's still young. Phil Hughes is still young. So you get them back home where they've had success. It's very comfortable, and I think when they get back home, we'll see them close it out in 6.
Now, I would agree with that, but this concept, and you guys both played, this idea that, wow, we're really going to be affected by what happened in 2004 with guys who weren't even there, that does not apply, because you know that's going to be brought up.
Different team.
Don't buy it.
Yeah. Different. No, it's not. No. Well, it's going to be brought up by the media. They're going to be asked about it, I'm sure. But, you know, they have a guy on the clubhouse. Well, they have a guy on their team that put the nail in the coffin in Johnny Damon again in 2004, hit that big grand slam in Game 7. So he understands. He's explained it to them. Look, this can happen. Let's not rest and relax and you know, let's go out and finish this thing.
Well, they're going to fly again.
How about Lackey and Cece in Game 7 if there's a rainout?
And that wouldn't be good if the Yankees or the Angels go to the World Series, because then you don't have your number 1 for Game 1.
You're not going to have your number 1 for Game 1 if there's a Game 7. If there's a rainout and it's Game 6 on Sunday, you're certainly not going to have your number 1 in a game on Wednesday. Nope. Especially if Game 7 has to go to Monday. So once again, just kind of recapping here, the seesaw battle, and you saw the manager decisions that were made when Lackey didn't want to come out and Burnett went back out. A question of one guy maybe leaving somebody in too long and somebody taking someone out too early. But instead, in the end, it's the Angels with Fuentes with the bases loaded. One of those exciting games coming off that 10-1 game. Kind of happy you got a chance to see it. Once again, I want to welcome everybody to the SportsCenter, midnight in the East, and SportsCenter will be on for the next 45 minutes. Chris Singleton, John Kruk, and I'm Karl Ravech. We'll get to Scott Van Pelt and Linda Cohn in just 1 second. In case you missed the 9th inning of Game 5 in what was a seesaw battle between the Angels and the Yankees, it was Brian Fuentes on the mound. Damon was the leadoff guy. He made an out. Teixeira comes up. 1 pitch. He's out. And you think, oh, Damon, Teixeira, and Rodriguez, the Yankees are in business. They feast off of bullpens. They intentionally walk A-Rod and bring the go-ahead run, knowing Mariano Rivera is already warm. He's been in the game in the 8th inning. If the Yankees can somehow get on top, the series is going to end. And all of a sudden, that leadoff guy is moving around the bases.
You just pitch around enough guys to get to the one you can get out. That's what Brian Fuentes did.
Oh, how about Swisher in that? He was down behind the count like 0-2, works it back. The Crucky's like, he's either going to take a walk or get hit in his foot. And I was starting to believe it because one thing he does do is he's got good eyes, good plate discipline, high on-base percentage. And I thought that game-tying run was going to get walked in by Fuentes.
12 hits for the Angels. A.J. Burnett, again, if you just